The Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Patterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
Good afternoon. Welcome to today's reading. I'm Christine Redmond-Waldeyer. I've recently stepped into the role of poetry director after Maria Mazzotti-Gillen's retirement. I'm honored to continue Maria's vision and thank her for all her years of leadership. I also want to thank the New Jersey Council of the Arts for their continued support, as well as Passaic County Community College and the past support of the late President Dr. Steve Rose and our President Dr. Jacqueline Knievy. Of course, we wanted to thank Cynthia Pagan, who organizes and does all the communication for our events. So thank you to Cynthia as well. I'd like to introduce today's reader. Our poet is Leah Umansky, and she is the author of 3 collections of poetry, most recently of TYRANT, Word Works Books, 2024. She's earned her MFA at the Poetry of Sarah Lawrence College and has curated and hosted the COUPLET Reading Series in NYC since 2001. She is the creator of Stay Brave Substack, which encourages women identifying creatives to inspire other women identifying creatives to stay brave in their creative pursuits. Her creative work has been featured on PBS and The Slowdown podcast, and in such places as the New York Times, the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day, The Nation, Poetry, Bennington Review, and the American Poetry Review. She is an educator and writing coach who has taught workshops to all ages at such places as the New York Public Library, Guggenheim, Poets House, Memorial Sloan Kettering, and elsewhere. She is working on a 4th collection of poems, Ordinary Splendor, on wonder, joy, and love. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you to everyone who might be tuning in online. I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to read a bunch of poems for you from, most of the poems I'm going to read are actually from the manuscript I currently have in progress, which are poems that are all Ars Poeticas. But I am going to read some from Ordinary Splendor, which is my next book of poems that is looking for a home. So I will read some poems from that manuscript as well. I'm really honored to be reading for Maria. I know she'll probably never tire of me saying this, but I love her to death. And she is one of my favorite poets who has changed my life in so many ways and has been a mentor to me since I was a little baby poet at 20 years old. She came to my school once and taught my students, and I teach her poems every year. And this just means so much to me. And congratulations on your retirement, Maria. I mean, you're absolutely amazing. You inspire me every day, and I know you've touched the lives of so many people. And good luck to Christine carrying everything forward. It's fantastic. So for people who might not know, an Ars Poetica, it's A-R-S and then Poetica, P-O-E-T-I-C-A, because there might be some non-writers listening. An Ars Poetica is a poem that I like to say is about any part of the creative process of being a poet, being an artist, being a writer, from generating ideas to editing to writing to making sense of something to publishing to working with other poets. It's any kind of poem that gets, I think, the reader to think about poetry or writing, or even the bare bones of writing, like letters. So you're going to hear a lot of different kinds of different Ars Poeticas. And yeah, and some of these are brand new ones that I haven't read before. So, and some of them are also forthcoming in the Patterson Literary Review. So let me set my timer. All right, so this first one is called Ars Poetica in Questions, and it is an Ars Poetica made up of questions, and it's forthcoming in The Nation, which I'm really excited about. Ars Poetica in Questions. Do you know you can invent the dead, and that a poem can be infused into anything? What do you know about intention? What's natural, and how could you be in tune with the planet? Tell me about public doting. Am I doing it now? I love poetry. But will it help the world? What is more interesting than a search for something? I think there's nothing better than a good cry. Do you agree? Did you know the moon is in Cancer, so you should feel everything? I think it would be hard to feel everything, but maybe there are no sad questions. Is that a sad question? A student told me writing a good poem is putting your heart into a poem and caring for it. And is that the answer to life as we know it, or what? Or what? Thank you. This next poem was just accepted by the Cincinnati Review, and it was inspired by the artist David Hockney, by Patti Smith, and by Yo-Yo Ma. Ars Poetica, the great colorist. We always see with memory. The moment always overrides everything. Looking for the world is a gateway, a sliding door. My silver lining is 1,000 sunsets. When we read, we are oracles, searching for signs, coloring this world one pigment at a time. Who gives us permission? The world does. You do. We keep going in love, in dream, in wonder, in suggestion. All the stuff is sacred, all of it. So I should say that I started writing a lot of these Ars Poeticas kind of as an antidote to how horrible the world has become and how difficult it's been to be a person in the world and see sort of the chaos around us and the hate and a lot of the stuff that my last book of poems of Tyrant focuses on. And I had a lot of friends who were having a really hard time writing. And for whatever reason, I turned to the Ars Poetica as a form. And I'm so grateful I did, because it got me to focus on the good in the world and the beauty. And it got me to focus on what I love, which is poetry. And so I can't believe that I'm almost done with this manuscript, but I'm really grateful to have the Ars Poeticas in my life. And it's been very satisfying for me. And I hope you enjoy them. This next one is an Ars Poetica that kind of plays all over the page. It kind of jumps around with white space. Ars Poetica, if you like imagination. If you like imagination, consider where the wind will take you. Consider the mystery of sky, of how the dark becomes a tree, of a window opening, of more and more and more, and of you, reader. If you like imagination, you can only begin to cross the desire path, the frozen wonder of discovery, of a chorus, of art, of love. I'm making this more romantic. The world will always need repair. This next poem is called Ars Poetica Orbit. It was inspired after the Samantha Harvey book, Orbital, which is a great book. It's a slim book. It's a British book. I think it was nominated for the Booker Prize. I don't remember if it won or not, but it's a book about astronauts in space and kind of part of it is about looking down at Earth, which is funny because of my background. But it really got me to think about space and about the world. And it's one of the first books I started reading on my Kindle. And what's interesting about the Kindle or any e-reader, which I think they all do the same thing, is that you could highlight lines and you could kind of make notes on them. And I found myself highlighting a lot of the lines on the ebook. And so pieces kind of entered into this poem. And it's a poem that's in couplets. Ars Poetica Orbit. I also want to know what doesn't exist in my life, what's missing. I want to know our common nature firsthand. For its nature, it's not just words or art or heart. It's the world, the earth, a radiance doubling and redoubling. That twinning is more than this life, more than this planet or this day. It all matters. The doubling continues. You, the earth, you, your art, you, the ocean, you, the beach, the forest, the rocks, the path. Without this earth, there is no art. There is no part to play in any of it. Our human ecology is our cross to bear, to have it and hold it and have so much of it that's already dead. What is that and how? What is the improbable, hard to believe in place? Is it here? There? It is what we carry and what we keep carrying on. Our beautiful, lonely light, is that all it will ever be, light in the distance? I don't know what microgravity is. I don't know. I can't feel an orbit outside of this poem or the circle of my mind, but I know what is here, what was there. I know the green of my childhood. I know that greening, a near and graspable thing, might someday vanish, a tumbled beauty. I asked my partner if he thinks that he and I will ever go to space, and he says, not in our lifetime. And I ask, would you if you could? And he says, no. But I say, I would. I want to see the world. I want to see the whole wide world, to feel alive in orbit. I want to see it all, comets, craters, the rings of Saturn, with my own two eyes. I want to see the Earth in the distance, orbiting. I want to remember and remember the seeing in case someday we can't remember. And reader, you remember this. The Earth is the answer to every question. That's a longer poem, but I really love that poem. This is a poem that I wrote last year up in Ithaca, which is not that far from where I went to school. I met Maria in Binghamton, and it's coming out, I think, in the next issue of the Patterson Literary Review. This is called Ars Poetica Girlhood, and it's for my sister Faith, who told me to write about the girl. And it's also a poem that's very much in the vein, I think, of Maria's voice, and I often hear her voice in my head. Ars Poetica Girlhood. I want to write a poem for the little girl at the Robert H. Treman State Park. I want to write a poem for that girl and the way her fear brought her to the edge of the diving board, where she stood looking out at her father in the watering hole, out at the vast expanse of waterfall to her right, and the families, children, and tourists to her left, staring at her, studying her. I want to write a poem for that little girl who stood at the very edge of the diving board, then sat her body down, terrified, contemplating. Then, as if in a movie, the lens zooms out to the people around her, faceless from where I stand, like a Pendergast painting. Everyone starts to clap and shout. She looks out, stands up at the bounciest bit as if to jump, but turns around to walk down and off the diving board. It is quiet. Girlhood is scary enough. The body is scary. Boys are scary. Friendships are scary. No one needs this extra push off and over. Her father comes out of the water, and I watch him walk away. I am stunned. No hug, no kiss, no words of wisdom. I stand waiting in the water, soaking up the sun with my sister and Coco. Fear is powerful. Everyone is talking about the girl. She couldn't be more than 7, maybe 8, but then I see her get back on the serpentine line behind the board. This time it is different. This time 2 other girls are with her, talking with her, and I watch her fear turn to laughter. Girlhood can be powerful, is full of power and charm, and I watch it spark with my own 2 eyes. We all watch her for what seems like eternity, and then she is back at square one at the board's edge. She turns back to look at her 2 new friends and then squeezes her thumb and index finger around her nose and jumps 25 feet deep into the water. Everyone cheers. It is a moment frozen in time, away from the rest of the world and its horrors, tucked in the gorge, away from the chaos of these days. She is smiling as she swims to the stairs and out of the water. Sometimes it is the scary thing that brings the biggest joy. Sometimes we fail, and sometimes our failure carries us away from fear, into friendship, community, into the beauty of a moment we ordinarily don't see. That girl, her friends, the whole watering hole of people, the collective is what makes us human, is what makes us feel alive, vital, as one. But there is no one girl. We are together, all the girls. And I love that poem. It was such a special moment. It's always an interesting thing when like you have a moment in your mind's eye, like in memory, and you're able to actually capture it. I feel like I was right there again in that watering hole. And I also jumped off that diving board, and it was absolutely terrifying. So some of the Ars Poeticas that I've been writing are also inspired by other poets. And so I have like a Mary Oliver one, and this is a Walt Whitman one. Ars Poetica, Am I Really Walt Whitman? The conductor on the subway announces, everyone, please put your cell phones down for a minute. The conductor is the composer of our ways. At the Prospect Park Q train, after a long day of teaching, I stand at the yellow edge waiting, huffing and puffing and rolling my eyes. Then I see the small child staring at the silver bullet as it pulls into the station. The conductor sees him as the train comes to a stop, pulls down his window to look at him, see him, cast his joy-lit eyes on his and smile back. The boy is a face of happiness, electric. I watch this episode as in a short film. The silver shines, the yellow is fluorescent, and as a train pulls away, the conductor honks his horn 1, 2, 3 times. I come closer to the boy and his caregiver saying, that was exciting, right? And the boy screams, yeah. Yeah, I say, to the wonder of children, to the wonder around us in the day, if we look up from what burdens us and see. Yeah, I say, to the roses left this morning on the subway track, along the metal bolts and garbage spewed between the bars. Yeah, I say, to the pink clouds I notice when I'm walking to the subway in the morning, wondering if I'll get a seat, if the ride will be smooth. Yeah, I say, even to the occasional overwhelm, to the gratitude in each of us to get up another day and feel our emotions, to access the vulnerability. Yeah, to the man on the B train who brought his lips down to his cup of Dunkin', closed his eyes, and took a beautiful, glorious sip. Yeah, to his smile, to that glimpse of palpable joy and satisfaction. It is our human need, our decrescendo, our double music to see through the despair, to try. Yeah, to the four corners of a day, to how we survive, to look. Lately, I've been writing a lot of subway poems, so that's also kind of a subway poem. Ooh, what should I read next? Okay. This is a poem that's a prose poem, but it's written in 4 sections. I'm a big fan of the prose poem. I think it's my favorite poetic form, and it's basically, for people who don't know what it sounds like, it's like a block of prose. So there's no delineation, there's no line breaks. But it is written in 4 sections, and it has a lot of pop culture references in it. I'm someone who writes a lot about pop culture. And there's an epigraph from the Modern Love podcast, which is the New York Times podcast for the column or article of the Modern Love series. The epigraph is, when the world makes us vulnerable, it opens us up to the world again. And it was by Ada Limon when she did the Modern Love podcast. Ars Poetica, aw. 1. You love coming to the dentist, says my dentist with his fingers in my mouth. After I rinse, I smile and say, no, I just like you. He asks me about my Passover, and I tell him my parents were away for the first time in my entire life. So I went to a Seder at my best friend's on Long Island. He asks me where, and I tell him, and then he pats me on the back of my shoulder saying, good girl, that's far. Your parents must be proud. I laugh, and he says, you know, that's what I like about you. You're never a phony. You're always yourself, so full of heart. People must love that about you. And in my head, I am already writing this poem. 2. How can I be anyone but myself? This is the world where I feel. This my mind, this my body, and this my heart. What isn't about heart? When we watched the documentary Billy and Molly, an otter love story in my 10th grade English class, kids laugh at Billy, but I know they're just afraid to be vulnerable. They laugh at his red face and his bad teeth, saying, he's a 10, but he's in love with an otter. And I laugh, and then I tell them to knock it off and watch the movie. A minute later, they are marveling at Molly and her dog-like belly rubs, the way she takes walks in the morning with Billy and his dog Jade, the way she comes to the house he built for her to have her otter cub. I don't know who's happier, Molly or Billy or me, but the joy is there. I watch the wonder on the faces of my students as they try to label what exactly this relationship is. But not everything has a label, needs a label. Some things are beyond our ken. It's not romantic, they say. No, it's not, I answer. It's almost spiritual, otherworldly, but they don't respond. They bring up his teeth again when Billy watches the webcam and smiles so big at the otter cub playing with Molly. And I respond, yeah, but look at that great big heart of his. Look at all that love he has to give. Just look at it. 3. Looking at what you love is an art, and I love a big heart. After years of dating men or attempting to date men who cannot love me back, I hungered for that openness, that willingness to open wide and give and, well, love. It's what I look for in the world. Everything is about heart, the absence of it, the revival of it, the drive of it, the silence of it. It's what connects us one thread at a time, the over under of our days, the one long stitch. 4. When my partner asks me what my number one thing to do is for a trip to DC, I say the new pandas at the Smithsonian Zoo, and he laughs. There's nothing like a baby panda. There is so much to see, their eyes, their paws and bellies, but what really got me was their fluff, that softness of the pandas, yes, but really of the people in line. There is so much turmoil, so much war, tyranny, and hate, but there I stood in a group of hearts aligned, waiting for a look from those big black eyes. That collective, aw, is a light source, an invitation, a courtship between hand and heart and heart, a vulnerable moment where all the walls are down. That softness, that awe, that's the heart I take home with me, that despite uncertainty and anger, there is love and gentleness too, in a neighbor, in a stranger, in you. And that poem, thank you, was published in Plume, not Plume, in On the Seawall, Ron Slate's journal. And yeah, those pandas are at the Smithsonian Zoo. So if you're in DC or want to make a trip to DC, they are so adorable. That was from last spring. So I have a couple more minutes. Okay. So I'm kind of obsessed with Bob's Burgers. If you follow me on social media, you might know that. It is a great thing to come in my life. It's a cartoon. And it's about this family that has a burger shop on the wharf near the water. And I'm just kind of so grateful it came into my life because it's like my happy place. And I think it's like the gift that keeps on giving. The family feels like a real family. And I've never really felt like that about a cartoon. I don't watch a lot of cartoons, but I wrote a Bob's Burgers poem because I was so inspired and so moved. So this is called Ars Poetica with a Comet and Bob's Burgers. Writing is a companion to life. If we can listen, the page will show us a version of our best self, our best language, memories. I try to trust the universe. I try to trust my instincts, and sometimes I fail. But that means I tried. I am trying. On Bob's Burgers, Teddy tells Bob the universe talks to us and urges the Belchers to come with him to the state park to see the first comet sighting in 30 years. Teddy wants and dreams and strives to have better luck for the next 30 years, since the last 30 haven't been great for him. Most viewers see him as pathetic, as a loser, but I see the hope in him, the want for love, adventure, and life. The Belcher kids are excited to write wishes on paper and watch them burn up into the sky, but mostly they are excited to not be in the restaurant working. Of course, Bob is skeptical of it all. He can't believe in signs or things he can't see. He only sees coincidence, decisions, and choice. After the comet combs through the sky, Bob sees a single seal come out of the ocean staring at him. Bob feels what he can't explain. He feels the universe. He runs to find Teddy screaming about the unknown. Maybe it's up to us to figure out what they mean. It is up to us, like so much of our life is. There are choices you make and those you don't. Everything guides us to something or another. Every memory, even those forgotten, influence our behavior, our life, our choices, our poems. All right, and I think I'll just read two more. This is a short one. I don't write that many short poems. This just came out this spring in Lumina, which is the journal through Sarah Lawrence College, where I went to school. Ars Poetica, self-portrait. I want to be entertained, especially as a female. The carousel of my brain, a routine of wonderful despair. The arrangement of a day, a pile of rocks, a story of accidents. We know everything. We will always have the moon. I've been writing a lot of moon poems too. All right, I'm gonna end with one of these longer poems. I'm gonna end with Ordinary Splendor. So Ordinary Splendor, like I said, is the title poem for my new manuscript that's looking for a home. And it was published in, God, I'm gonna blank on it. What's the name of the magazine? Oh, I'm totally blanking where it was published. It's with an L. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is also a prose poem in sections, and it's kind of a love story, and there's animals. And it's in, how many sections is this? 3. Oh, the Laurel Review, that's where it is, the Laurel Review. Ordinary Splendor. 1. I saw a video on Twitter of a polar bear swimming for 9 days straight, gliding his translucent body through the dark blue sea, gliding his fur through cold and ice, ice and cold, and the icy cold dark of the ice of the deep of the cold, gliding his paws through the shimmer and the shale, the icy and the pale, the smooth crust of the water's frost. Imagine him skimming through the first day, the ordinary splendor of the ice. Then the second and third, the crisp air, the ice rocks at the hairline of the sea and at his or her hairline. Who is he? Oh, glittered one of ice and blue, the icy blue. And I think 9 days is a long time not to stop. 9 days is a long time to stop. 9 days is a long time for anything to survive. There, in what I assume is the Arctic, he is free to meander, to swim, to glide his body as he wishes, as a force of nature. For isn't that what we all are? 2. Isn't that what we all are if we want to be a force of nature, a sort of splendor to ourselves? There's so much to love, so much to dote over, and what is ordinary to one is not ordinary to another. It's the splendor that carries us from one day to the next. When I first heard about Flacco the owl, I felt my body warm at the thought of him. Would I see him on one of my walks? My heart beat for him, a silent pattering under the day. I loved knowing about his adventurous spirit, this beloved urban owl flying around my city. And now, to hear about his death is an ache, an empty, a heartbreak. But that's the city life sometimes. New York is a city of hits and misses, but an owl knows both. An owl owls his way around the trees and the stars, the people and the dogs, the whirl of the buses, the cars, the night. It is an act of love to love this city. It is an act of love to love anything good and anything good enough. How can one love a bird? It's a funny question, through the fault of your own looking. And here I am open-eyed. That's what this life is for. I remember in October walking down Columbus and a man was dressed as Flacco for Halloween. And I smiled and I laughed, tugging on my boyfriend's sleeve. He's Flacco, I exclaimed. But the truth is, all of us are. We all want to be loved. We all want to be free. We all want to explore the splendor. 3. We all want to explore the splendor. I led with something like that the last time I updated my dating profile. I want to start with wonder, I said. Someone who admires the little things in life, I said. One who lives their life in wonder, who lives an artful life. And on the second date with my boyfriend, we passed a statue of an owl on a stoop in Chelsea. And I said, I love owls. And he said, I love owls too. And we had a little laugh, and he told me a great horned owl once flew down to him. He never told anyone, but he told me. I said I used to hate birds until I read a book about hawks, and then I turned to owls. On our third date, we went to the Bronx Botanical Garden on a dark, rainy night to see the light show, and there was an ice sculptor carving a statue in real time at the end of the path. I could see his gleam and glimmer from where we stood, shivering under one umbrella, freezing yet happy, happy yet nervous, newly knowing one another. So much of the world is veiled in light. And as we moved closer, the ice became an owl. And I screamed in excitement, "What are the odds?" And he said, I know, and shh. But I stood there screaming because sometimes the world is extraordinary, a splendid thing. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much, Christine and Cynthia and Maria.